Hey, what's going on, everybody? Shane Presley here with Rock Paper Podcast to tell you about my friends, Music Record Shop. Check them out, 4191A Manchester Avenue in the heart of the Grove, right between the demo and the ready room. This Friday they got new records coming out from, they'll have new records in store from Red Hot Chili Peppers, Sum 41, Black Crowes, Nirvana's Greatest Hits, Rush, Coldplay, Avicii, all kinds of Father John, Misty, all kinds of stuff. So if you like any of that, come on down, pick up some new vinyl, 10% off any purchase, and during Friday, during the all-new Music Happy Hour. Saturday, come out December 5th, Alex Stewart and Friends in-store performance presented by Four Hands Brewery and Gramophone. And then also Sunday, December 6th, Brother Lee and the Leather Jackals, Boredom Leads to the Bottle EP listening party, 2 to 5, free. So come out, hang out, listen to some new music all weekend. Find them online, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, musicrecordshop.com.
Hey guys, this is Phil Wright from Thunder Biscuit Orchestra and the Scandaleros. You're listening to the Rock Paper Podcast.
Yeah, this is Rock Paper Podcast with Shane and his guests. You will listen to what he says. Shane will drive to your house and bring you brownies and talk for hours, 'cause it's Rock Paper Podcast. Tell me why it's nothing but a podcast. Tell me why we're making this for your ass. Tell me why. All you gotta do is download Rock Paper Podcast. Rock Paper Podcast.
little original tune for you.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Shane Presley here, Rock Paper Podcast, coming to you live from inside the Halo Bar. This is Thanksgiving Eve. Aaron Cam and the One Drops, Jake Slade are about to take the stage tonight at the pageant. And is Scandaleros, is that pronounced right?
Yes.
You guys are taking the stage in the Halo Bar afterwards.
Correct, right afterwards.
Yeah, but so anyway, I'm here hanging out with Phil Wright. Welcome to the show, man.
Good to be here, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited that we finally got worked out. But you got a big show coming up, Phillip-A-Looza, December 5th at Old Rock House.
Yep.
Figured I'd catch up and sit down and talk a little bit about what that's all about.
Yeah, we this is the 10th year we're doing it, so we're excited about the fact that we've been able to sustain it this long. It's a benefit show we do in honor of my dad, Phil Wright. He died in 2006, Lou Gehrig's disease, ALS, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis is the official name. Nobody knows that.
Yeah.
So it goes by ALS. Lou Gehrig's disease is the common name, of course. And we raise money and awareness for the ALS Association here in St. Louis. A portion of the proceeds go for that. It's just continued to grow every single year. The first year was at the Lucas Schoolhouse several months after he passed away, and we started planning it when he was still alive, and originally it was supposed to be an event he was going to attend. A little bit about ALS. Lou Gehrig's disease is a neurological disease that basically, a really simple way of explaining it is your brain starts to shut down the neurons that control the central nervous system and your muscular system. So the muscles that control breathing, swallowing, your upper body mainly, so your arms, your shoulders. My dad's first symptoms, for example, were that it affected his arm. His arm started to go limp and he couldn't use it. And I'll tell you a little bit about the disease first, I guess. He had a family history, and it's not normally genetic. It's usually something that it just affects random people. It doesn't discriminate between age, race, sex, creed, anything like that, of course. It affects anywhere between 5,000 and 7,000 Americans a year. And it basically just shuts your body down one muscle at a time. The average life expectancy is 3 to 5 years. It is always fatal. There is no cure. There's some advancements in treatment with medication, but nothing that's shown any dramatic improvements. So it's it's one of those things that just progressively gets worse. His grandfather, his father, his brother, and his sister had all passed away from ALS, and actually his sister was dying when he was diagnosed. She was losing her battle at that point, and he kind of knew the symptoms when he was when he figured that's what he had.
Yeah.
He started getting symptoms right before Christmas in 2005, and he told us in January of 2006 what he thought he had, and it was a big pill to swallow. And anybody that knew my dad knew that he was above and beyond just one of those guys that everybody liked being around. He was a neighborhood dad. He was a dad to a lot of my friends whose dads weren't available or weren't around. He was always involved, yet still kind of one of those dads that let you fall down and figure out how to do it yourself at the same time.
Yeah.
And he was big into Cardinals baseball, and he was a big fan of music. He turned me on to a lot of things from gospel to the Sun Records stuff to blues stuff, and told me stories about everybody from Johnny Cash to B.B. King to Elvis and things like that. And so, being a local musician, my first instinct when we figured it out was to try to raise money. And I'd never been a charity-driven, like cause-oriented type of person necessarily. I was still young. I was a young parent. I was a newlywed. I was trying to figure out how to take care of my life.
Right.
And I didn't really know what animal I was creating when I started this thing. I think in 2006. And it's the first year was more almost an emotional night more than it was anything else. It was like therapeutic, I guess, the best way of putting it. And we had on the first bill we had one of my bands, Lightning Bottle Band. We had the Tony Campanella Band, who we were friends with. We had let's see, we had 56 Hope Road from Chicago, were friends of ours, and a couple other bands on the lineup. So we did it at the Lucas Schoolhouse. We had about 150 people, I think, which I thought was great. I had no idea, and the Lucas Schoolhouse was really nice to us. I met Dan Jameson through that process, actually, and I became good friends with him, and he was really supportive of what we were doing from the very beginning and backed us from the get-go. And then the next year, it got a little bit bigger, and we had Matty Hucci and Speakeasy on the bill. We were friends with them, and Jake Slag, I believe. And then it was Gumbo Head and Jake Slag. And so a lot of the family bands started getting involved. I was just fortunate enough through being more of a fan and a friend than a musician at first to be friends with these guys, and all of them wanted to help out and be a part of it. And it just continued to grow. And then when the Lucas Schoolhouse fell by the wayside and closed their doors, the Rock House was just opening up, and they took us in right away. And as we go into the 10th year, it's kind of funny. I was telling my wife the other day, looking back on where we started and where we are now, and to look at be able to do an all-day lineup from 3 p.m. to 3 a.m. this year with the lineup we can put together, and being almost apologetic to bands that I'd like to have on the bill but I can't fit in, who are phenomenal bands in their own right, and have them want to be a part of it is one of the cool parts that lets me know where we're growing and going at this point. It's we'll expect another near sellout next Saturday night. Last year and the previous couple of years before that, we were at capacity a couple of different times during the night. And with that long of a lineup, you have that turnover all day long. But, it's one of those humbling and inspiring feelings at the same time, and you look out and realize there's hundreds of people in that room who are there for your event, but more importantly, your cause. And they're supporting it. And we've educated a lot of people on what it's about. And the cool thing about it is we don't do anything like, we don't have that downer moment. I've been to a lot of those things where they want to have a speech and a presentation about what it's about, and those are important because they matter, and people need to have those educational points. But we want you to know you're going to a concert and a festival, and we want it to be a party, so there's not that downer moment. I don't say much of anything about I have Dre from KDHX MCs the whole thing for us. I don't spend a lot of time talking about the issue. I want people to come and have a good time. Sure. And we have a silent auction with a bunch of cool things from the Rams, the Cardinals, the Blues, the Pageant, the Rock House. Breweries donate things. We had dinner packages, things like that for silent auction items too. So between all those things and the show, I think everybody has a pretty good time.
Yeah, man. I kind of I relate a lot with what you were saying there early on your first year, because this year I put on my first show with my 1 year anniversary of the podcast. Steve Ewing allowed me to put a little party together over at Steve's Hot Dogs. And,
I love that place.
And it was an absolute honor to put a bill together. And Steve's like, "I'll play it," and I'm like,
right.
My first show I put on, and Steve Ewing of the
Steve Ewing from the Earth.
Right, so it's like it was unreal. But it was a great day to have a nice lineup of like 6 acoustic acts from solo acts to full band, and we had a great day. And hot dog buffet, you can't go wrong there. So
no, that's an all-around win.
Yeah, but
Steve's good about that stuff too. Yeah. I mean, he's a good dude
for sure. Yeah, it was, I've kind of talked about it a couple times on here, but it's kind of unreal. Sometimes I have to step back and look just the fact that I've become, I grew up watching The Urge and listening, and then like now that I'm friends with Steve and all the guy I've had 5 of the 6 guys on the show. The fact that those guys are my friends now is nuts.
Right.
Like, I don't know. It's just if I could like somehow tell 13-year-old Shane that he's gets to hang with The Urge, like blow my mind. So
yeah, I grew up seeing The Urge too, and I don't know Steve personally very well. I've played a couple of co-bills that he was on, and he's always been nothing but incredibly polite, and everybody I know that knows him well says the same thing. Those guys and The Urge, you talk about a St. Louis staple. I mean, I broke my toe at an Urge show in the Landing when I was, I think, 17 or 18, and one of my few times in a mosh pit with sandals. Early lesson to learn,
Yeah, I was just at the show last Friday at the. They played Friday and Saturday night here at the Pageant, so I was in attendance on Friday night, and it was killer, man. Especially the Mississippi Night stage looked really cool, like the way they did that, and I was wondering how they were going to pull it off, and it was cool. Like, it really went well.
I heard it was phenomenal. Yeah, those guys haven't lost a step at all.
Oh,
You know?
and that's the thing that blows my mind. They get up there, the guys are, mid 40s or whatever, and they jump around and look like they're teenagers still. They're all smiling and having fun just like the day they started. Like so it's cool to see that even though that we were celebrating the 20th anniversary of receiving the gift of flavor, those guys haven't hardly aged at all. It's like it's crazy.
That's the thing about I think it's the thing about playing live music is if you're not having fun doing it, you should probably consider doing something else.
Yeah.
And if you ever get to the point where you're not having fun doing it, it's either you're either too old or you're not, or you need to shift gears somehow or another, I guess. And obviously those guys and Jake's Leg out there tonight, those guys. Jake's Leg for me was that band in some ways where I stumbled into 20 North for the first time when Randy knows this when I was 18, I believe, and it opened up a whole new world to me with the Grateful Dead and everything like that. And I've known those guys in different forms and ways along the ways, either sitting in and playing with them or working at 20 North behind the bar, working at McGee's at the door different times, and my band, one of my first favorite, wow, we really got this gig, was playing at McGee's on an off night when Jake's Leg couldn't play with Lightning Bottle Band, and I went home to my wife. I go, we're filling in on a night where Jake's Leg can't do it. And that was huge for me, because those guys were they were like my heroes, and so they're on the bill for Phillip-A-Looza this year again, and to have them be a part of it every single year, it's kind of like, again, you're talking about the guys that were, I hate to throw around the word heroes, but guys that I definitely looked up to, and I thought, man, those are guys that do it right, and they have the presentation, the sound, but at the same time they own it somehow. It's not the word tribute's kind of thrown around a lot, and it's definitely their own animal.
Sure.
And so, it's St. Louis is lucky to have a lot of bands like that, whether it's original or in the Jake's Leg sense, or people like that are truly talented and put out a really quality product.
Yeah. So let's go down this line. This lineup you have here. You got Jake's Leg you mentioned, and
it is next Saturday, December 5th. It's at their old Rock House. It starts at 3 p.m. It goes to 3 a.m. So 12 hours of madness. And this is in no order as far as the playlist. The order goes. We'll announce that this week, actually, because as with all these things, a lot of it was subject to change with different lineups and people being available and so forth and so on. But the overall lineup, Jake's Leg, our good friends Funky Butt Brass Band, who we're excited to have back, Mom's Kitchen, other good friends of ours, the Widespread Panic band here in town, Falling Fences, Sean Cannon and Joe Stickley and Joe Lindsay from Mattahoochee, and I don't know for sure if they have a fiddle player with them that night, but of course you know what they do. It's just phenomenal blend of grass, Irish, folk type stuff.
Yeah, Sean was just on the show a couple weeks ago.
That's right. Yeah, Sean on a couple weeks ago. Yeah. My band, Thunder Biscuit Orchestra. Big Mike Aguire, our good friend as well, with the Blue City Allstars. And you talk about a lineup of Allstars, it really is. You've seen Mike right before, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. And we sat at Herbie's and did one of these.
That's right. You've done these with a lot of these guys before, right? Big Mike, and then Vitamen A, who we figured out a couple weeks back. Tracy Lowe and I talking, and Sean and a couple of the other guys, that one of my first gigs playing live music in St. Louis was actually at a normal rally in Tower Grove Park with Vitamen A, who I had already seen several times at Mississippi Nights and places like that. And I had some congas with me, and they let me hop up on a couple of tunes and play along. And I was I remember just floating on air for weeks after that. This is one of the coolest things I'd ever done. And, they didn't remember it like I did, of course.
Sure. Yeah.
But just great guys as well. Oaksteel Lightning, which Carson Mann, who's in the Scandaleros, playing with me tonight, and will be joining me here in a minute. It's him and Ryan Kemp and Jay King, like a trio to 5-piece outlaw country originals, covers type stuff. I play with them from time to time in town here as well. They just got off the road from coming back from Colorado, had a great run out there, so they'll be with us. And we're adding some young flavor this year with the guys from Tazi, kind of I don't know if you know them at all.
Yeah, we did one also. They're phenomenal, man.
They're great.
Real great reggae stuff, right. And and they're great dudes. I had a lot of fun I mean, I still I ran into Tony, their drummer, up here after watching Unify on Friday night. So like, I see those guys out and about quite a bit, and they're great guys.
Yeah, we're looking forward to having them because again, it's an inflection of some youth for us. A lot of the bands that I have on this list are, of course, some older guys closer to my age or older. So you have a lot of veteran guys, but we want to keep bringing in younger acts as well. And Tazi was kind of a no-brainer in that sense. We're looking forward to it. And we like having the variety with everything from rock to Americana to blues to funk to everything. And we didn't have that reggae feel. Aaron Cam's done it in the past with us a few times, and unfortunately the one drops were unavailable. And I was kind of insistent upon having that flavor too. And they were the next band on the list that I thought about right away. And then we Alexis Tucci, DJ Alexis, is going to play a dance party set at the very end of the night as well. And Alexis has had a really successful run with her Night Chaser series, and it's always been on the same night as we've had Phillip-A-Looza. It's been her birthday show at the same time, and she's still having that this year, so I don't want to take anything away from it. But we didn't want to go against each other. We're good friends, and she was always. I could never make her event, and she could never stay for the whole thing for ours. And so we just talked about it this summer and said, let's just team up. We're talking about it at the Oyster Bar one night. I'm like, let's team up and pull them together. I want you to play my event, and I want you to be there. And Alexis is phenomenal and has performed everywhere. And just one of those presents you like to have at a party or event at the same time. Just her energy is fun to feed off of, and so I'm looking forward to having her. So it's a stacked lineup. We're looking forward to it. And as with all of these things, I know that there's been a lot of talk already about who's going to sit in with who and join each other. And one of the fun things about it is we all play a lot of this. Like tonight, I'm trying to make it down to see Mattahoochee while they're in town, and I want to catch the Jake's Legs show and Mom's Kitchen is at the Old Rock House, and I know there's the Last Waltz thing at Off-Broadway, and I know I'm leaving out other shows, but I like to be able to bounce around at all these different shows to catch my friends play, but it's hard to do. And so the cool thing about this is also we all get to hang. Yeah. There's a big green room downstairs, and they take good care of us at the Rock House, and we all get to hang together, and it's all for a good cause and a good spirit. And even the band wives and girlfriends get to hang for a night, which is kind of off and different than what we usually get to do. So it's something we're proud of, what it's turned into as far as a family feel within the St. Louis community scene too.
That's kind of what I've heard from a lot of interviews about all those big festivals in the summers and stuff, is all those bands like playing those because they get to hang with all the other bands, because if you're on your own tour you get to see the same guys and from the openers and stuff, but when you play those big festivals with 40 something bands, then of course you get to hang all day with your buddies and actually get to have some fun backstage. And so I imagine that's a similar vibe, like you said, in the basement.
It is, and it's right for the holidays, and that's one of those things where a lot of us, like my personal schedule, I finish up on the 18th and 19th with Funky Butt for their holiday party. I'm playing that at Off-Broadway with them, and then I'm done for the rest of the year. I take that time off every year with my family and enjoy a break. And I know a lot of guys do something similar, and it's kind of a nice little, hey, happy holidays. We all get to hug each other out and say, have a good one, and we'll pick it all up and hit the road running again in January. And, before you know it, you got Mardi Gras season coming around, and we all work nonstop through that as well. And, it really is kind of a chance for all of us to slow down. Everybody checks their ego at the door. That's that's the only rule we have, is everybody kind of check your ego and be willing to work together, and everybody does. It's funny, the first year I did it and put it together, I'd never put anything together like this before in my life. And I'd played some of them, some festivals along the way, and I knew the ones that I liked and how they were run, and the ones that I didn't and how they were run, and I tried to make sure I covered the bases. And each year you figured out you can cut this, you can add that, you can supplement this, and ways to make things better. And it really does help that there are so many people in the scene, from KDHX to Schlafly to the Rock House to the Lucas Schoolhouse in the beginning, to so many of our other sponsors and people like that who are a part of it, that will go out of their way to try to help us out. Yeah. And I don't want to forget to mention, by the way, we're doing this for the first time this year. Schlafly is going to be the official beer of Phillip-A-Looza, so they're going to have a full tap takeover at the Rock House that night. you'll have, I don't know the lineup on the beers yet. They're still working out exactly what they're going to have available. But all the handles are going to be, all the craft beer handles are going to be Schlafly products. So you'll have some of the things you probably can't normally find at other locations. And in return, they're helping us out with a lot of the sponsorship stuff for the production and other things we need to do. And they've just been great to work with as usual, as well as KDHX, who is, hometown radio number one as far as it goes in my book. So.
Yeah. When I first heard about ALS and all that the cause, my joke came to mind. My friend Bob Biggerstaff's comic. He lives down in like Houston area, and he's got a joke. His father also had ALS, but he made a joke because his dad hated the Yankees being a Astros fan, and so he refused to call it Lou Gehrig's disease. So he always called it Jeff Bagwell's disease. So I always I always thought that joke was pretty good. That
Yankee hatred can run deep for a whole lot of people.
All right, yeah. So I don't know who. You said your dad Cardinal fan, right?
Big Cardinals fan.
Who would he pick as a?
Without trying to wish anything bad, on anybody, he would probably go out of his way to try to wish it on like somebody, a Cardinal that he didn't really care for. He wasn't around when the Albert Pujols thing happened, but considering Albert's departure and the terms that it had happened under, he might have named it the Albert Pujols disease.
Yeah.
So, But again, my dad wasn't necessarily the vindictive type by any means. But it was ironic, and we did find a little humor in it, and ironically, we did wind up learning a lot about Lou Gehrig and the man himself. When your family's afflicted by this, you delve into it, and we're by no means Yankee fans. I'd grown up a pretty diehard Yankees hater, and so was he. But being such a diehard baseball fan in general that my dad was, and turning me on to the game the way that he did, it was ironic that he would have a disease that was named after such a prolific baseball player. And so, I've got, for not being a Yankees fan, my little jam space I have at my house / office area that I have has a lot of Lou Gehrig memorabilia hanging in it. And my son has a Gehrig jersey, tapes, stuff like that. And it's, you become sort of a little bit, it softens the hate just a hair when you're aware of, A, what a good man he was, and if you're going to have a disease bear your name, at least it's somebody who was that good of a person,
Yeah, definitely. So you play, I know you play harp, harmonica. I've seen you like at a Funky Butt gig and stuff. But do you play anything else, or is it pretty much?
I mainly play harmonica and sing these days. I've played some percussion in the past with different groups. Jake Slag used to let me come along and bang on congas with them at different points. And 7-10, actually, I played harp with them the other night. We were joking about the days I spent coming out to the country club and places like that and banging congas with them, or Vitamin A. And I picked up harp years back when I was playing in Lightning Bottle, and we were doing a lot of blues. We were playing a lot of the Soulard, when Soulard was strictly a blues type of area. I picked up harp more or less out of necessity. We were doing a lot of tunes, and we didn't have keys. And I had a basic understanding of music. I grew up playing piano a little bit, and I just picked it up on my own and kind of was more or less self-taught, and then started picking up a few lessons here and there for different people. And I don't really know that I have I'm certainly not a harp purist. I don't play your standard. There's guys in town that blow me away, Eric McSpad and Greg Homert and guys like that around town that are phenomenal technicians. And I don't try to do the things they can do because it's not what I am.
Right.
And I play a little bit of guitar phrasings in the way I play, a little bit of keyboard phrasings like Nate Hershey's playing with us tonight. And I'm constantly trying not to step on his toes, or like when Jack Kurtner was in Snarky Gargoyles with us, I'm constantly trying not to step on the keyboard player's toes because I realized that I play a lot of fills that would be typically keyboard fills, and I played through a lot of effects pedals, which I admit started out probably as much to compensate for skill as I was developing, and then it became more of a different way to inflect and express more than it was to do anything else. And I'm constantly searching for a different way to attack something, and the toys, I guess, kind of give you that option sometimes. And when I do play dry and I do play not mic'd or I do play acoustic straight up, that's a completely different type of fun. We've done some backcourt picking along the way where nothing's amped, nothing's mic'd, and those are fun. Those are fun to do too. They're a lot of fun. I did one this summer in Florida with Scott, and it was out of necessity. With Scott Rockwood, we had the power went out because of a storm, and we wound up playing an acoustic show just dry, no mics, no vocals, and I hadn't done it in a few months, and it was a blast. It changes the way you sing, it changes the way you project, and so it was fun. But I picked up harp out of necessity, and I've kind of run with it, and it's allowed me to do everything that I like to listen to, I guess, from rock to blues to funk to reggae to soul to I won't call it bluegrass, but we call it boom chicka, kind of a honky tonk, sped up stomp clap sort of a grass influence type of thing we do. But hey, it's definitely something you play from your heart more than you do from technical aspects. And but I've been lucky enough to have a lot of good friends that have welcomed me into their fold to play with them. You mentioned Funky Butt, and I play with the Scandaleros all the time at this point, and I play in Thunder Biscuit Orchestra, which is my band that I'm responsible for booking and taking care of and producing, and that's myself and Brian Sachs and Tony Johnson. And when Jack Kurtner was in town, he was a part of that. Snarky Gargoyles, which is that same lineup, but with Joe Winsey from Adiucci on drums, and Jack when he's available, or like Nate Hershey's going to play keys with us at Phillip-A-Looza this year for Thunder Biscuit Orchestra. I fill in with Oak, Steel, and Lightning when they're in town. I play with Funky Butt a lot when they're on a few tunes here and there. They were super cool and asked me to record on their album with them, Sugar Womp Womp. So I was proud as hell to be on that with them. Good friends with the Bottoms Up Blues Gang. They welcome me in a lot. Sean has me on a lot of his voodoo player nights at the Rock House, at the Oyster Bar, and I've been a part of a lot of that. And then Carson and I have our Jamboree night sponsored by Four Hands at the Oyster Bar once a month, which is kind of an invite jam, but we're lucky to know the right people in town who we invite out to join us. So you'll have on a given night guys from Funky Butt, some of the guys from Aaron Cam, some of the guys from Oak, Steel, and Lightning, some of the guys from other things come down and join us, and we have a house band that we kind of build out from there. Some of the guys from Provels, who are good friends of ours, they join us with that, and so kind of a cool thing we do once a month. And Four Hands releases a specialty beer on tap at the Oyster Bar that night for us, and it's kind of just a cool celebration of St. Louis music once a month. And we kind of did it on a whim one night this summer, and it took off and ran.
Yeah, very cool. Man, my dad played some harmonica, he still does when he gets time, but he played a little more bluegrass. He would sit in bands. He played blues stuff too, but it was always fun to watch him play, though. I've always had a spot for harmonica, and I don't know. I don't have any musical inclination. I wish if I was going to try something, I think I would try picking up some harmonica. Try to learn.
It's never too late, man.
Try to learn something.
Yeah, it's never too late. I picked it up later in life for sure, and it's something. I truly believe that if you ever think you've figured something all the way out, you're lying to yourself. There's always something to learn and some way to improve, and I wish I did practice more, and I try to. I try to make time to do it more and more, but it's something where I encourage you or anybody else to, if you think you want to pick something up, it's never too late to do it. I mean,
he would always play. I was actually he played it just a bit ago. So he got married last year, right before in the spring. I got married in the fall.
Congratulations!
Thanks. Yeah. It was so it's his second marriage, and we had a little, we had a wedding reception, all of it right there at the in the park, and then we just had like a little after party at his house. We had a bonfire, and he. My stepbrother got a guitar out, my dad got a harmonica out, and we just kind of sitting around the fire jamming a little bit. And
those are fun.
And he started doing Chicken Train. It was like Mountain Daredevils. That's one of his go-tos. And so I don't know. So that's whenever I think harmonica and stuff, that's where
Daredevil stuff's kind of there's some crazy runs that guy pulled off, and Ozark Mountain Daredevil. So that's cool stuff.
Yeah. We used to. I remember we were kids and we were like sitting around Debbie, jamming a little bit. And I can remember me and my little brother singing, "I've been standing on a rock, just waiting for my seeds to grow."
Oh hell yeah!
So it was a lot of good memories of playing music and not me playing, but being around it. So yeah, that's always been a part of my life, man. And it's cool to do this show now and then get to meet all the people I get to meet and have these conversations and stuff.
The family thing is kind of neat. It's my mom was when I was really little. My mom was a touring gospel singer in a group. She was very small touring, but I grew up with my mom singing and playing piano in church, and my dad singing in church. And my dad could carry a tune, but he was by no means proficient. My mom could sing. My mom could flat out sing, and I can't ever get her to sing with me. So music was always around us, and between my cousins, my aunt, and friends like that, and my parents, I kind of had a melting pot. And growing up outside of Memphis, you kind of are in that heartbed of American music. And so, my dad was coming at me with the Sun Record stuff, and my mom with the gospel stuff, and my cousins with the rock and roll, and everything from the Beatles to Black Sabbath and the Stones and stuff like that. And then later, me finding everything from early on as a kid, obviously Michael Jackson and stuff like that was the pop oriented stuff. And then later, as I kind of started finding my own stride, of course I went through my metal phase and my hip hop phase, and then later just kind of really delving into. It was funny how the Grateful Dead opened up this whole catalog of American music that I was unaware of. And I kind of always, it's funny, when I was a kid, I'd grown up with country and bluegrass all around me a lot. Sure. And it wasn't until I was older and started listening to the Grateful Dead that I started paying attention to it, the roots of it, and started realizing that there is a lot of jazz in there. There is a lot of bluegrass. There's a lot of blues. There's a lot of folk. There's a lot of rockabilly type. Anything you can want to find in American music, you can find in the roots of the Grateful Dead. And being the inquisitive type that I was, I wanted to explore all those different roots. And so all of a sudden, it opened up a whole new world to me in all those different genres. And like probably a similar story to a lot of Deadheads have, is that I found old country music that my dad had been trying to turn me on to for a long time through the Grateful Dead. I found Johnny Cash through Big Rivers, through Grateful Dead's version of it, and then said, oh, this is that stuff my dad was listening to that was so awesome. And then I found all the other Johnny Cash tunes, which led me to Waylon Jennings, which led me to, I found Bob Dylan at an early age through the Grateful Dead, and I found all those other things through that, and reggae, Bob Marley and Peter Tosh and stuff like that. And it's funny, when I became a parent, I realized that my son was being totally immersed in music too. And we have two sons now. My wife Melissa and I, we have two sons, Philip and Jack. And Philip's 8, and he's taking violin lessons, and he's learning to play, and he's calling it a fiddle because that's what he insists on calling it. And our oldest son Jack is 14, and he plays saxophone in the band at school. But he's a guitarist. He'll tell you he's a guitarist, and he plays guitar, and it's nightly at our house. It's the minute he finishes his homework, he doesn't play video games. He plays guitar nonstop for hours, and he's into those. I see him because he loves the Grateful Dead, but I see him going down those same routes and those same paths. And the other night I came back and he was playing some song I didn't recognize, and I go, "What is that?" And I can't even remember the name of it. And he goes, "It's a Woody Guthrie tune." And I said, "Where did you find that?" And he goes, "Well, I found that because of this song, and then that I found Woody Guthrie's version of Going Down the Road Feeling Bad." And I thought, "Wow, that's cool. I want to hear what else Woody Guthrie did." And he's just got that mind that's like a sponge right now, and so he's opening himself up to all this stuff. And so I'm excited too, because this is the first year he's been. He was 4 years old when my dad passed, and it's shocking to realize how much he remembers about my dad, and he remembers vividly. But he's been asking about playing Phillip-A-Looza since he was old enough to hold a guitar, and I just kept saying, "You're not old enough. You're not old enough. You're not old enough. You're not old enough. You're old enough." And after playing with him having him out to play with us at a jamboree night, and then playing an event with us in the Scandaleros for a couple of songs one time, and then he played the ALS walk with us this summer. He's had some stage moments in front of some crowds, and so he asked me this year in a really sentimental way almost, and I was prepared to tell him no again. He said, "Dad, I've gotten to a point where I want to do this. I want to play something for my grandfather, and I want to play at Phillip-A-Looza. So I broke, and I said, all right, so this year, for the first time ever, we're going to have him come up and play with us. And my 14-year-old son's going to play with us on a couple of songs at Phillip-A-Looza, which he is beyond excited about, and I'm going to be like an emotional wreck during those few moments. I'm just going to have to keep it together and get him, and he'll do fine. He'll do great. He's working his rear end off on it right now, and I'm worrying for him, and I don't need to be. He's going to be just fine with it. But it really is a family effort on everybody's part with my wife, my mom, my kids. It's something where we've all sunk our souls into it. And it continues to grow within my family.
Yeah, that's great, man.
There's nothing like playing music with your own family, though, for sure. We played. My son and I played home a lot together, but last month we went down and we played with my grandmother, who's plays organ at her church, in her small country church in Arkansas. And we played the solo special in the middle, and we did "I'll Fly Away" while the circle be unbroken. We played with the church band and the whole time, and my mom played piano, and that was. I played a lot of cool music moments, but that was one of my favorite. Was playing with my, all four generations of us at the same time. There may not have been 30 people in the room the whole time. It's a small country church, but it was as cool as playing, out there at the pageant for me. So that was really neat.
Yeah, man, that sounds great. Yeah, sure. We can talk about
Carson.
Talk about Thunder Biscuit Orchestra for a moment.
I gotta squeeze in here.
We were just talking a lot about Phillip-A-Looza, and I mentioned a lot about what we do together here, and so I just figured I'd bring in Carson Mann, who plays our Jamboree nights with us at the Oyster Bar. It's actually Phil and Carson's JAMO Jamboree. Big fan of the Jameson. So say hi, Carson.
Body by JAMO. Hi, how you doing?
Well, yeah, welcome to the show, man. This is
Glad to be here.
yeah.
Hopefully I'm not being too loud.
Oh no, that's I think we're all right. Hopefully. But yeah, so you guys have anything on the calendar for besides Phillip-A-Looza for the Thunder Biscuit?
we play about 3 or 4 gigs every week, and it's a variety of places. This week we're playing a benefit show at the Bootleg, which is in the Grove neighborhood, and some kind of a anti-heroin awareness thing. That's I don't know. I'm always ready to get behind a cause.
Is that the Hero Inside? Is that one?
I don't know. It's at the Bootleg. I'm not exactly sure what it's called.
I'm out of town actually for that one. I'm back on Saturday for the Venice show.
But Phil plays with the Scandaleros a lot, which is the band that's playing here tonight.
Yeah.
But Oak, Steel, and Lightning, the band that's on the bill, which Phil also plays with quite a bit. We're all fans of each other's music. So whenever we have a chance to sit in or play along, we jump in there and we play along, And so Oak, Steel, and Lightning's on the Phillip-A-Looza bill this year, and really looking forward to that because, again, it's all about getting behind a good cause, and that's what Phillip-A-Looza is. It's a really good cause.
Yeah.
It's funny how it's funny how when Scandaleros have done Phillip-A-Looza every year, and because of schedules, we couldn't make it work where everybody from Scandaleros could be there at the same time for a set all together. So since like Oak, Steel, and Lightning has a gig later that night after they play at Phillip-A-Looza, so since we're doing that, like Joe Capin from Scandaleros is going to play guitar with us with Thunder Biscuit Orchestra, and Hershey, who plays keys, and Scandaleros is going to play keys with Thunder Biscuit Orchestra. So in some way, shape, or form, we're going to still have all of us represented playing in the family band. And that's important to me because these are guys who supported what we've done with it from the very beginning, and I want to make sure that as we continue to grow, I want to, as long as they want to be a part of it, I want to keep having them.
Yeah.
And so
that's great.
And not to mention the fact that everybody's a badass player, so it's like nobody's being dragged in out of pity by any means.
Sure.
No, we're all fans of what each other does, so it's sort of a natural thing,
Yeah.
It's the music scene, if you will.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that makes St. Louis' music scene really cool is that if you are in a bind for a player to fill in on a given night, or like with the Jamboree thing, which is one of the reasons why we started doing it, is that we all like playing together. I mean, it's I can call up the guys, Aaron and Adam and the guys from Funky Butt and say, hey, you guys free tomorrow night by chance? And if they are, they're going to come out and they're going to join us, and we're going to have a blast.
Yeah.
I was just doing that. I actually found out the drummer couldn't do that benefit show, so I was calling Bill Ham, the drummer from TVO, Tony Lamaki, a guy who sits in with us from time to time.
Yeah.
I mean, I got a Rolodex of people who I can call. It is because of the sense of community from it all.
Right.
It's kind of funny, like, too, you know, I like I said, I'm not a player. I just a big fan, but people know I know a lot of musicians, and I've gotten to that point now where I'll get texts or phone calls or whatever, like, hey, you know anybody that plays bass or guitar or whatever, you know, like, I'm like, I'll throw it out there, but yeah, I don't, you know, they're all, you know, got their own gigs and stuff, but it's funny that I've got people, like, you know, asking me about it now. It's like,
careful with that, just a heads up.
Yeah, right, yeah.
You'll become that go-to guy. They'll start calling and asking about it.
You'll be the intermediary.
You should start charging a fee, man.
Yeah, oh yeah. And well, that's already, I mean, even the next step is putting shows together. People like, hey, we need a band on this gig, you know, or whatever, and they all, I mean, so yeah, I need to figure out some way. I mean, I know the bands aren't even making much money. I don't know how I would make much money, but somehow I need to figure out how I can get my.
And I'm joking about the money part of it.
Well, yeah, but
well, you could work for a percentage.
Sure,
that's what most people do in that situation. But they'll take 10% off the top or something like that.
But it'd be nice to kind of get into that position where I could, you know, benefit everybody, and we could all work, you know. But I'm just having a good time doing this show, and that's allowed me to meet cool people all over the place, and like I said, it all started just by having these friends that already, you know, that were talented people, and I was like, I was writing like album review stuff, and I was like, I got tired of writing, so I figured I'd just start talking and let the music speak for itself. So
amen to that.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned the album review thing. I was a journalism major before I was switched over to English in college, and I was doing music reviews a lot, and that's because of what I wanted to do, and nobody was doing it for the college paper at the time. So it's funny how everybody thinks that's a great job, and as you know, a lot of it's, you know, hey man, will you review my opinion? And so there's a lot of stuff you had to listen to and wade through. There's some cool moments, but there was a lot of shows you had to go see where you were just like, oh man, this is rough.
Not what I.
But at the same time, it kind of opens your eyes to what you like and what you don't like, and what you're willing to take in and what you're not willing to take in. You know,
absolutely. And I think that gets back to this developing a sense of community. I mean, that's what this is all about. You don't have to be a musician. No. You know, you just sharing the joy of music. You know, musicians are just a part of that. You know. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. It's funny how with the St. Louis scene, one of the reasons why I felt comfortable taking on something like Phillip-A-Looza or the Jamboree nights even was because I felt like I was pretty confident knowing the people that I do know. Anybody from the guys from Funky Butt or Sean Cannon, as we were talking about earlier, or our friends from Mattaucci, or the guys from Scandaleros, and you know, I knew I could call these people and say, hey man, I'm doing this, would you want to be a part of it in some way, shape, or form? And they would either tell me yes or no. And if they said no, it was going to be because of a good reason. It wasn't going to be because they just didn't want to. Right. And if they just didn't want to, they could tell me, man, I'm really busy and I just don't want to. And I'd understand that too. Yeah. And but that's rarely ever happened. And the Jamboree night, kind of with the Carson and I do, it's funny how it started off. It was wasn't it one of Sean's gigs that he couldn't play?
Yeah,
I think it was one of Cannon's video players nights that he was on the road with the swag. And I play at the Oyster Bar a lot and have for a long time.
Kind of like a home away from home.
My wife jokes that I get my mail there sometimes. And they're like family to us, the Johnson family and the guys that own the Oyster Bar. They're I think the world of those guys. Brett called me and said, hey, I need a band to fill in on that Wednesday night. And I said, well, it's kind of late. I'm not sure what I can put together. And he said, well, can you maybe just have a jam? And I'm not going to lie, man, open jams they can be a nightmare. They can be a nightmare, too. It's just, you're going to sit through Mustang Sally and Sweet Home Alabama, and there's nothing wrong with those songs. It's just one of those, you're
well, people go to accessible material for that type of thing.
Right, and you don't have any governing over who's playing. And so I said, well, I can do it, but how about me and Carson just try to see if we can put together a band and invite out whoever can make it. I said, and I'll just invite the right people. And he's like, yeah, do whatever you want to do it. So we didn't know what to call it, and we were like sitting around having a freaking glass of whiskey, I think, that night. And we're like, well, let's just call it the JMO Jamboree. And
perfect.
We decided to sit there on Facebook, hitting up. I put out a mass message. I just sent it out to everybody I could think of, and I was shocked. Yeah, man, I'd love to do it. I'm actually off that night. Yeah, I'd love to do it. And I think that first night we had 22 players, and it was everybody, like I said, from guys from Aaron Cam several guys from Funky Butt and a bunch of other guys that showed up and came out, and like Tony Bertoglio, the sound engineer at the Oyster Bar, was like, "This is a blast. This is so much."
You got to play bass on a song.
Yeah, you got to play bass with us. And then Josh Limpert, the sound engineer from the Rock House, came over and played drums with us. We got pictures. It was hilarious.
Nice.
And he's a great drummer. And the guys
I
from
really
Mount
think it's
Kitchen came
vital
out.
to the musical community.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I know I keep coming back to that, but I mean, you have great music scenes in towns like Austin, and obviously New York, L.A.,
Memphis.
Nashville, Memphis.
Yeah.
You know, in St. Louis, I think it's kind of coming along with that. We really do have a thriving music scene in this city, and the Jamboree is just something I think is sort of a byproduct of that.
Yeah, and it's just continued to be more and more fun as we start trying to like figure out, all right, what songs do we all know? What can we put together? Because we don't rehearse for it, and you kind of rely on the talent of the players at that point to carry what's going on. And luckily, we have a talented house band that carries it. And you got Phillip-A-Looza, Spanky from the Provels and keys, Bill Ham from TBO and drums, Ryan Kemp from Oklahoma Lightning on bass, Carson on guitar, Joe Capin on the other guitar, and myself on harmonica, and then Tim McLaughlin from Mom's Kitchen on percussion. Sometimes Dave Rothschild from Scandaleros on percussion. Sometimes it's Tim Barons on percussion. So we basically say, here's the instruments. We're going to play some songs, and we start inviting friends up at that point, and turn the stage over. Like last one we did, we turned over the whole stage to Mom's Kitchen for 5 songs. We did it like as a Phillip-A-Looza kind of like pre-party.
Remember that one night that one band was from out of town, and their gig got canceled at BB's because there was a fire or something?
Josh
like that?
Hoyer, yeah.
And we switched off sets with them that night.
Yeah, I think it was Josh Hoyer and the Shadowboxers from Nebraska.
Real good band.
Phenomenal. Yeah, heavy soul band. There was a fire at BB's upstairs, and I got a call from Brett that afternoon going, "Hey man, we're going to try to help them out," because the Oyster Bar is good like that. They're like, "We're going to try to help them out. It won't change anything different for anybody, but just to help them get a gig while they're here in town, would you mind them coming in and kind of swapping out sets or bringing them up?" And I'm like, "Dude, they can have the stage for an hour if they want to in the middle of it.
Yeah.
And we'll trade off sets and we'll do our thing around them. Like, let's make it work for them while they're in town. I want them to come back to St. Louis."
Yeah.
And I asked the guys when I got there, because I was the one that got the phone call on the way down, and everybody's like, "Yeah, man, hell yeah!" And so they showed up, used our gear, and they killed it for an hour.
It was a good band. What was the name of that band again?
I think it was Josh Hoyer and the Shadowboxers.
Yeah, real good. From Nebraska.
Right, Omaha, Nebraska. Who would have thought? I mean, right? They're just power, soul, funk, just killer band. So we were happy to have them. So that's kind of the point of the whole thing. Is like, they turned us on to something new. I got the pleasure of playing with them on a couple of tunes, and then their horn section came up and played with us for a while. And we never met each other before. We met each other in the parking lot. You know, and that was. And killed it. Had a great time together. So,
it's a family affair.
Yeah.
Let's sit down
Even
and
when
get to
it's
know
new
each
family.
other a little bit. What do you play? What's your style?
Yeah.
Right. So
That's cool, man. Well, guys, I guess we're looking to wrap this thing up.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Glad to
been
be here.
great. Yeah, thanks for hanging out. Again, December 5th, Phillip-A-Looza, Old Rock House. Going to be a great night or a great day. 3 p.m. start.
3 p.m. to 3 a.m. and tickets are available at the door. They're $10. I can talk about the price of tickets, right? Already did. So
sure.
I know there's rules with certain places, but $10 tickets. They're available at the door, or you can get them right now on Metro Tix, or you can get them if you catch me at a show. I've got them in hand as well. And then music from 3 p.m. to 3 a.m. Silent auction, 50-50 raffle. At Schlafly Tap Takeover as well, that whole day and night at the Rock House. So don't miss it. I personally, I know I'm biased, but it's one of my favorite parties of the year. And I think
It's a showcase of all the great local talent.
Yeah.
And KDHX is obviously involved.
Right.
A great community radio station.
Right. Yeah, and I think you mentioned earlier my involvement the rest of the year. I'll just run that out real quick. It's I have Phillip-A-Looza, and then the next week I have the 11th. I'm playing the ALS Benefit at the Rock House. I'm playing that with a killer lineup. I'm honored to be a part of that. And then I'm playing at the Angry Beaver with TBO, and then the Venice with TBO on the 12th for Tony Johnson's birthday bash on the 12th of the Venice, and then the 18th and 19th to finish out my year with the Funky Butt, which is easily another one of my favorite parties. The Funky Butt Brass Band's holiday pajama jam at the off Broadway.
Yeah.
I'll be playing on that night with those guys, and that kind of rounds out my year for the year.
Yeah. All right. plenty of opportunity to come out and see Phil and
Oak Steel and Lightning, Scandaleros.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Look us up.
We're
on Facebook.
Yeah, I'll put it all. I'll tag all the bands, and we'll get spread the love around.
Appreciate that, man.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Shane, man.
Thanks,
Appreciate
guys. We'll see you around.
Appreciate you. Thank you kindly.
That was fun, man. We get Scotty's guitar in here a little bit too. That's cool. I don't know if we got him lined out or not.
Rock Paper Podcast, y'all.